I shake my head, remembering this is all part of Lucifer's test. I should make some determinations. The time ticks by slowly. Greed walks in right at 10, humming a cheerful tune to himself.
Well, hello there.
How's it going?
Oh, things have been great. I think things are looking up for Vegas's new power couple.
Ha, as if things could get better for you.
Hmm? It's interesting you say that. I've been thinking about what my life has been missing. This is a serious conversation. Are you willing to talk of such things? I don't want to ruin the mood.
I'm willing to talk about whatever you'd like, Greed.
Thank you.
Greed takes a moment to process what I just said. He looks confused. It may be the only time I've seen him confused. Cute.
Did you call me Greed?
I did. I give him a moment to piece together the puzzle.
I see it now. You're the sin of lust, sent here by Lucifer to test me, correct?
Close. I was sent here as part of a test for myself. But you have nothing to worry about. I completed Lucifer's test. I'm free to be with who I want now.
That's great to hear. What about us?
Come on. Would I be telling you this if I hadn't decided on you?
That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
So, I didn't mean to derail our conversation. What's up?
No, that's fine. This new knowledge actually has me thinking more.
About what?
You may judge me for what I'm about to say. Lucifer would be displeased. Not that I care too much what he has to say.
I promise not to judge.
During our brief time together, I felt a happiness I've not felt in a long time. I thought I had forgotten how it felt to be happy. I was considering taking a sabbatical, a leave of absence, just you and I. We can go anywhere, get away from everything for a while. What do you think?
Greed looks at me hopefully. I guess even greed can burn out after a while. I'd love that, honestly. Where were you thinking of going?
I'm thinking Sicily. Perhaps a villa on the beach.
Who would manage all your stuff here?
I've spoken with Alexander about that. He would be in charge until I came back. He'd be an efficient placeholder. I feel like I need to feel again. To feel happy. Greed erodes everything and leaves an insatiable hole that can never be filled. And yes, I'm choosing not to make a joke. Don't smirk at me like that.
I said absolutely nothing.
If you have no objections, we can leave tonight. I have already purchased a place for us.
Is it a villa on the beach?
It is.
I'm already there. We took Greed's private jet to Italy. It was a long flight, but Greed seemed more relaxed than I'd ever seen him before. He talked of things other than money for a change. The flight was nearly an entire day of travel from Vegas, almost like Greed was putting as much distance as he could between him and the city he'd grown so powerful in. Eventually we arrived at the private villa Greed had purchased, an elaborate estate, but a secluded one. We spent the first few weeks there having more sex than you would think was possible. We weren't married or anything, but I kind of thought of it like a honeymoon. Something I deserved after I finished my test. Something serious and affirming. I had no idea how long we were going to stay here, but I had no complaints. Greed's substantial wealth made living a life of relaxation easy. It also gave me a chance to brush up on my painting. The coast of Sicily had many beautiful sunsets to capture. One such night, I found Greed smoking outside on the balcony, lost in thought. $1,000 for your thoughts?
Witty.
A long moment of silence stretched between us. Both of us stood there, enjoying each other's company, silently.
You know, this may come as a surprise to you, but I was not always motivated by money.
I could tell Greed wanted, or perhaps needed to talk. I said nothing. I just listened.
When I was 15, my mother was the closest person to me. Well, she had her flaws, but I always felt more connected to her than my father. They had their own problems, but they did well for themselves. My father was one of the early founders of Vegas. They had money, more money than they knew what to do with. Despite having more money than most, it could not buy them love. Well, eventually their marriage ended in a bitter divorce. My mother was set to take half of my father's wealth. He didn't like that.
Greed took a couple drags on his cigarette to steady himself before continuing.
You don't become extremely wealthy without powerful connections, Kosuke. I should know. Back then, justice was a lot harder to come by. My father never explicitly said he killed her, but she disappeared one day before the divorce settlements concluded. She was never heard from again. I was young and naive at the time. My father's lies about what happened eventually clued me into what he had done. He had killed her to preserve his wealth. I, of course, was not a powerful person at the time. My father thought he had gotten away with it. But I just waited. I waited for the appropriate time to cash in, so to speak. There's no way I can adequately explain to you how my mother's death affected me. It became something else entirely. A fixation, an obsession. I felt seething rage toward my father for years. But my anger cooled to something more sinister eventually. I knew I would have my opportunity, but I had to be careful. I waited 12 long years until the opportunity presented itself. My father was celebrating his birthday, and as was his custom, the party was exceedingly lavish. Over the top, drugs, whores, everything. I was 27. I knew that at his advanced age, a death would be easily covered. Once he had overindulged and retired to his quarters, I made my move. I hope you do not judge me for it. I found him laying on his enormous bed, surrounded by his worldly possessions, passed out, completely at the mercy of someone with no power. The weight of my mother's unjust murder spurred me on, and I suffocated him in his sleep.
Greed pauses to gauge my reaction. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. Seems, justified.
The following days were a blur. I inherited everything and received a visitation from Lucifer himself. I won't lie, I thought the murder had pushed my sanity over the edge. But I was offered everything my heart desired by Lucifer. Control over people's impulses. I accepted Lucifer's offer without a second thought. Here was the answer to all my problems, my hatred, my anger. If I could control other people's impulses, there would be no limit to what I could accomplish.
Greed turned to me, deeply troubled.
But I never felt fulfilled. The void in my heart was never satisfied. Well, perhaps it's a curse of being greed, perhaps something else. But I never felt like it was satisfied. Until I met you. After meeting you, I reflected on what I wanted in life. I think I want this.
This?
Whatever it is we have here, I'm in no hurry to leave it.
I think Alexander will take care of things, for as long as you need.
And will you be here, with me?
I will.
That makes me happier than you can imagine. I love you, Kosuke.
I love you, Cody.